Hey guys, this is Anon with first look at the RU251, and we're going to jump into some gameplay here, and I'm going to talk a lot about it as we go, and I have some highlights kind of after this game. But this is a tank I am extremely enjoying. I probably like it at an unnatural level. I already have about 35 games in it, and it's going really well. Obviously, it has absolutely no armor whatsoever. Another RU can HE it to death, so you have to be extremely careful with it. But its unique combination of speed, agility, camo rating, and view range make it feel almost invincible. I actually find myself playing it more and more aggressively just because you can spot most enemy teams and tanks before they spot you, giving you the ability to either shoot or turn around and run away with that spotting ability. So you have a lot of flexibility with it. You don't have to get shot that much. I'm actually finding it extremely survivable. So here I am coming up, just trying to poke my head up and spot, and immediately find out that the team isn't there. But I'm up here so incredibly fast that I can really assess everything. So I'm going to just move up to the next spotting hill and see if any stragglers are sticking around at spawn 1 or 2. I'm seeing that some of them are pushing down in the valley range, and that's great. Got a great drift coming up the hill. It drifts pretty much constantly. You actually have to be a little careful with it because sometimes it'll put you in a position you don't want to be, but it's insanely fun because of that. So working around the tracks, again, just trying to see if I can spot anything. See their 44 in the distance, but then the Patton and 103 is starting to peek up. So here I'm going to use that great camo ability. I get an easy shot on the 44. The gun doesn't seem like it's quite as accurate as the Dragon, but it still does a very admirable job. If anything, you have to be a little judicious at times with your shots because it doesn't hold very much ammo. I've found myself being down to the last few shots several times, so it's something you're going to have to be aware of. Anyway, I'm just working up at this corner, using that great camo ability. I mean, I was fully exposed there to the 103, and you're going to get spotted most of the time in that situation, but I still haven't been spotted, so it gives me a lot of freedom to keep all these tanks lit up, and while also shooting back at them. Again, working on the Patton, nice and slow. Sometimes it's great to run around like a bat out of hell in this tank, and other times it's great to just kind of sit back here and use that camo and keep working your spots. So that's what I'm doing here. Working on the 103. The 103 still has absolutely no clue where these shots are coming from, and that's the way we like it in a tank with no armor. The Patton has never spotted me, but finally realizes where the shots are coming from and comes booking around the corner. I decide that I want him gone fast, so I go ahead and poke out. I know I should probably have him on reload here, so I go ahead and stay out to get that shot. We're down by 1. And so I'm still just working for shots because I know my camo's reset at this point, and I'm in such a great spot that there's no reason to push overly hard. Instead, I can turn back on that 103, who, if he was watching his minimap, knows I'm over here. It's a little bit, but doesn't really know for sure. Spot the T95 coming up. The 54 is all the way over working on my Tortoise. And there's a 4th I haven't seen yet, so I decide to go ahead and push down. As soon as I get down to the spot, I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and circle of death at 95, but instead the ISU pops up. So change directions, nice ramp. The tracks are extremely strong on this. I find you're only going to damage your tracks if you get an extremely high amount of air, or if you land at an angle. If you land on one track, it's going to damage it pretty much every time, but if you land flush, you can do some pretty spectacular aerial maneuvers in this thing. So get that quick circle of death here on the ISU. Our Conqueror, my Conqueror, which is the only other tank left, has decided to cap, so he's kind of drawing some attention. That's what the 95 is trying to work up to do. Normally not what I would call for. He probably could have saved the Tortoise if he wanted to, but either way, it's what's happening in this battle. So now that the 95 is turning, I want to use that great speed to relocate because there's no reason to fight that 95 head on. I remembered the T-54 was over here fighting the Tortoise, so I'm load heat, hoping to kind of pop over here and take him out real quick. the speed is just absolutely remarkable. There's no other tank in the game that can relocate quite like this, at least at the high tiers. Even the Leopards, just this combination of speed and ability to climb hills, it can really fly. So spot the 54 and get, honestly, a pretty lucky snapshot to take care of him, but we'll take it nonetheless. Spot the IS-3 so I can start working in. Unfortunately, don't get that shot into the tracks, and the Conqueror gets tortoised. I try to track him, but that doesn't really work either. So again, there's no reason to fight these two in the face. It's not going to work well, so I decide to relocate and let that camo reset again. So I can swing around to the backside. My camo's already reset, and here's that great spotting ability. You can pop up and I shoot him, and I haven't been spotted, at least not right away. Finally get spotted, but I have already reloaded, and it lets that finish. So I figured the 95 had stayed up, but he didn't, so I tried to track him there with this great speed. If his tracks have to move at all to traverse, then that bloom blows up. It makes it really hard to hit me. So I'm going to be able to just kind of rush in behind here. He almost gets me pinned, which would have been dangerous, and I get free, but get stuck against the wood pile on this house, but luckily enough, he doesn't turn, and I'm able to finish him off. But using that just fabulous relocation speed and camo ability, I'm able to kind of run all over the map through this entire game and pick them off one at a time. It's really one of the highlights of this tank. You can pick off stragglers, run around, spot for your team. It's extremely versatile in that sense. Take that score line pretty much any time. I know a lot of it's done sniping, but again, it's a light tank, and I was, spotting a decent amount through that game too. So you can't be afraid to snipe no matter what the team yells at you at times. So now I want to move into some of the highlights of this tank. I feel like there's a lot of things that this can do that pretty much nothing else can. So here I am just absolutely screaming around the flank on Falls Creek. And just trying to get a few spots here to begin with. I saw one spotted up at Bridge, so I decided to keep moving again to that next kind of spotting location and spot a 103, and I'm able to put a shot into him and continue moving. I actually bounced the shot, but here's another great example. He was not able to spot me. I was in full view, but far enough away with the great camo rating on this tank that he wasn't able to figure out where I was, so it lets me continue moving and get a couple shots on him. A very unique aspect of this tank. I feel like it's even though we have camo and we have camo nets and we have all these great features, I feel like this is the first tank that gets a true advantage from its both its camo and its view range. You can really abuse both, and it makes it a ton of fun to drive. So because of getting that quick 103, I'm able to just keep running right up, and I want to stay at the fringes because that whole team's already spotted. Pop up to the hill and see a T-34 that I can get a shot on now. That's too close, so he's going to spot me. And that's okay, because I can just back up, let my camo reset. There's so many other tanks that he's not going to be able to stay that focused on me, and he probably assumes I ran anyway, so I'll look for a couple other quick shots. Don't really have anything. Now I can roll forward, and now there's trees between us, so I'm able to shoot at him and remain unspotted because of the trees in our way. He looks back, no spot again, so I can really finish him off and move on. Great, we're working at really nice close proximity at this point, but using the camo abilities, I can finish him off. Now we can move into just the great hill climbing in this tank. I see my T-34 in trouble from another RU, and I can go straight up over these steep hills, load HE because he is just as weak as I am, and save that T-34. Can flip now to the new Middleburg and see how you can also use the incredible speed of this tank to actually have aggressive relocation. So I'm working through the hills trying to see what I spot. My team's running down, but that's okay because I'm just kind of trying to see what happens. Notice an STI. Don't get that shot, but then I see this T-29 who puts a shot into me and realize that this isn't a good position for me. Instead of completely bugging out and turning around, I'd rather be able to spot. So instead, turn on the afterburners, run straight by the T-29. This is allowing me to pick up all these spots on the left-hand side. I can see where most of the team is. They just keep lighting up, swing all the way around to the back side of the map, and puts me in a perfect position for kill shots on this KV-4 that's overextended himself. Don't think this tank can't brawl either. Later on in this same game, shooting at an IS-6 from behind and a Pershing pops up to my left. Instead of completely turning around, because you don't want to necessarily brawl from the front, use this great hill climbing ability to come straight up through the steep side of the hill while he's focused on the rest of my team. Pop around behind him and instantly start circling him. If it's anything less than an average player, you can circle just about any tank that's left. This is the only shot I take from him in the excursion because I've just got him so twisted around. You can actually even use getting rammed to your advantage occasionally. If you let him tap that backside of your tracks, it'll actually swing you around even tighter. So didn't get the kill, but great circle on that Pershing. Another RU, also no problem. Swing around, similar health to another, a really fantastic player. So again, load that HE, which is always going to give you an advantage if they aren't doing it, because you're going to get so much more damage. I actually hurt the first shot, but can flip around so quickly to get that HE. He doesn't get a high roll, so I can finish him off and move right about my business. The speed is obviously something you have to be careful of because it gets you into trouble. So here's a situation where I'm trying to fast flank, run into a higher tier tank. That's not really good. Spot a Centurion, T-54. So here you can go straight up parts of the map that you aren't able to do in the past and save an engagement. I take a lot of shots, but I had way overextended myself. And now I can nestle into this little crevice and use the hill behind me to start working on these two tanks. I'm taking out 2 guns from the battle and giving my team some time to work. So that Patton's trying to get shots on me, I can roll back, get a nice shot, roll forward into this little valley. It just lets you use parts of the maps in ways you haven't before. This hill to my right, I've actually been able to go straight up that rocky cliff of it if you're even remotely close to full speed. You can't do that in any other tank that I've noticed. Maybe the Leopard can, but this just charges right up like it's no big deal. So again, just can work this little crevice. Everyone's trying to get shots on me here. The Centurion's trying to figure out how to hit me. This Patton's trying to figure out how to hit me. The Patton could have come up the side, but didn't. I'm not sure if he knows he can get up that side or not. But again, just rolling forward and backward. I have no armor, so I'm taking shots, but look at how long... I mean, I completely messed up in this game, and look how long I can kind of save this engagement and keep these 2 tanks out of the battle. So I let this run a long time just because it really entertains me what's happening here. I finally wear out the Patton, and he bugs out of the engagement, but the Centurion finally figuring out that he can come up the hill to my right does exactly what I was hoping one of them would anyway, and comes up and lets me just perma-track him. During the Patton takes this advantage to kind of bug out. We actually lose this game, but I like the example that it shows. And then again, the pure relocation ability of this tank, and just the massive speed of it. It shoots really well on the move, not as well as the Dragon. That's actually a pretty lucky shot, but you can see where I start. I started at the far side of the tracks, running away from their flank because there's nothing I could do about it. Absolutely full-on blazing through this. Huge drift. Points me in the right direction. Keep going. I see all their tanks sitting down here, so I'm trying to relocate to the far side so I can get shots on them. And I mean, this hasn't been hardly any time at all. A heavy wouldn't have even been able to get up over the hill, and I am just moving. You can see the great strength at the tracks, taking jumps that any other tank is going to take track damage, and just pouring up over the hill, putting me in a great situation. The team's done a good job, but now probably their top health tank right here in front of me. He's slow. Their RU runs away. Take a shot to do it, but it can instantly get this low in a nice circle of death here. So just the flexibility that this tank gives you, it presents a lot of struggles to the red team that players in Blitz may not be used to handling. The positions you can get in are just advantageous. So I hope you enjoy the video, and go play with this tank.